Calligraphy as an art form means probably also that you can stress your boundaries, you can push your boundaries and do whatever you want. But today I want to talk about readability. Because in my opinion, beauty is a matter of harmony, is a matter of balance. And when we cannot read the quotes and it's all written upside down or in typefaces that we cannot decipher anymore, then it might be great art, but I'd like to read it. So there is a functionality to calligraphy. And it doesn't matter what you do, when you have an art form, I think it has to be balanced. The white space have to be balanced with the black. And in drawing we call that negative space. It's the space that you don't have to do anything for. It's the paper. Let me show this to you. It's this. This is the white space. It's the space between the letters, the space between the words, even the space between around this graphic image. That needs to be balanced. Here's an example. When you hear music, there's a pause between notes. And the pause is equally as important as the notes to make the music pleasant, to make it nice to listen to. In calligraphy, the readability to me is important because we want to communicate something in a beautiful way. And white space in drawing is the negative space. It is the pause between the notes. It is where nothing is said. It's the void. It's really where you don't have to do anything, but where being comes into place. I always refer to it as, well, it could be God. It could be what that is not said. There's a void. There's the biggest universe. There's a special tension between the two. Today we're going to look at how we can learn how to balance that. It's not necessarily a science, although we can get close to figuring out how much room does a word need. And for example, again, if you see the white space between this and this, they're almost the same. So the letters are not separated enough to make it readable into a word. And we're going to develop a sensibility for it, or sensitivity for it. And it can grow. You can nurture that and learn to see what feels balanced. So let's go look at the demonstration and make sense of this. It's a super interesting given. So all this is the spacing between the letters. And if we would have imaginary marbles, then the spacing between the A and the N should be bigger than the N in itself. What do you think it is? What is bigger? They're almost equally the same, right? And when I count the amount of marbles, then yes, they're practically the same. So remember, when you start spacing the two letters between, when you make a word, that is very important. This is Roman capital. This is the flat nib. Now we're going to make some lines, and then we're going to stay between the lines, or if you want, you use your grid. First, I'm going to have a flat nib, and I have watercolor black paint. It's actually gouache, Maybe it's better to do watercolor because the pigment might be a little bit finer, but figure all these things out yourself, what works for you. It is whatever is going to work for you. Sometimes the paint is too thin, sometimes it's too thick, sometimes your nib is not rolling very well, that might be a little bit rusty, or it might be too greasy. You might not sit in a nice position. Do everything in your possibility to make nice lettering. Practice it. Practice these two words until you have it 100% correct. Until you're really happy with it. And then you can write this on a thank you note for something, for somebody who did you a favor. Isn't that nice? You can also do it with a tiny brush, as we saw before. If you like more the cursive, the writing style, then we're going to go to the pointed nib, and I'm going to introduce that to you today so that you can have your choice of what you like best. So here it is. We're going to go with a pointed nib. The direction is like 52 degrees. You push on the nib in the downward movement. The only time you change it is with the T. Sorry about that. I didn't know that. The lines need to be parallel. All the letters need to be perfectly parallel. The beauty is in the perfection, is in the order, is in the rhythm of the words. The words are the same, and it takes practice. So practice this over and over until you get a handle on it. They can be a little bit smaller, but don't make them too small, because smaller is not necessarily more beautiful or more readable. And then you want to maybe put them on a bigger note card. You can do it. I know you can. If I can, you can. And let's see what we're going to do today. Make the swirls wherever you want them. I think there's no rules. And I will make an example at your table of this kind of writing. Good luck.